The 49ers have waived Jalen Hurd. Jalen Hurd, check stats, never appeared in a game for the 49ers. And I'm not trying to be funny or dismissive here, but the experiment is over. He was the third-round pick of the team back in 2019, the 67th overall draft pick, flashed in a preseason, but could never get healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I understand keeping a project for a couple years. Keeping him this year was pretty absurd. Like, I would say a lot of things have just been symbolic of, like, what are you guys doing? Like, why'd you keep him this season? You get 2 seasons with a project, third rounder, who's multiple different injuries. Remember, one year was the back, the other year was the knee, and missed the entire season, and he was injured when you drafted him. It was like, why are you wasting a spot? You can't, like, that's Belichick's greatest attribute is his ability to move on. You took a big swing. I got no problem taking swings on guys like Jalen Hurd. You and I remember the first practice in his draft class. It might have been OTAs, how big the guy was. You're like, Jesus, I can see why you like him. Former running back from Tennessee, went to Baylor, became a wide receiver, looks sweet. But once you just can't stay healthy and never been healthy enough to be active for an NFL game. Think about that. Like it's just, this year to me was a waste. I have no issue with the last, even the second year, right? You hold on, third round pick. But by the time you get to the third year, like, you got to be able to pivot. The thing about the NFL? There are a fucking million Jalen Hurds on practice squads, on all these other teams, so you can just move on and grab another Jalen Hurd. Like, hey, you like this guy on a practice squad? Go claim him. I understand the first couple years, it's your pick. Once you have 2.5, 3 years of evidence, why is this happening in November? His third year.
It's really, and I would add it to the Joe Williams pick back in 2017 is another one that just never
last long. But he didn't last long, right?
No, but he just never played. Now, he was also a fourth rounder, right? Jalen Hurd was a third rounder, but it happens. It happens to every team. And the good news for the Niners this year was, like, what did it really cost them, right? It felt like he was close for a minute, then he wasn't, and maybe they just decided we're going to give it one last run, clearly. But it was a miss, like, period. It was just a miss. Like, that's what we look back on now, is in 2019, they actually hit on their picks in 2019. Bosa, Samuel, Wishnowsky, Greenlaw, Caden Smith, who turns out like a pretty good player, just not for them, relative to what you get out of a 6th-round tight end.
Yeah. What team's he on?
Giants.
The thing with Joe Williams, now granted, you said
actually hasn't played, so maybe he's hurt. I don't know.
Was a 63rd pick or 67th pick. Joe was the 121st pick, so it's almost double the distance. But he wasn't very good. Then he got injured as a rookie. He did not make it to the next regular season. Like, why did this guy get so much longer? Just because he was a 6th, 7th pick? His injury history was absurd. It was outrageous. It was like, guys, you're holding on to something. Major injuries, right? It'd be one thing, like, if it's just concussion, something you couldn't quantify. You're talking about a devastating back injury and a leg injury. What are we doing here? I thought that's just poor roster management on Kyle and John. Like, it's a team effort on that one. I don't know one guy.
You're saying the drafting him or the keeping him?
The keeping him this season. I will defend you keeping him those 2 seasons, but by the 3rd season, once he's not healthy enough for the regular season, he got to go. That's just basic roster management.
Yeah. I agree with you philosophically. Again, my question would be,
he had a back injury and he tore his ACL.
No, I know. But my question for this year in particular would be, what did it cost him? But I think philosophically, I agree with you. Like, cut your dead weight and move on. And they were very attached. They wanted it to work very badly. And
because he did flash in that preseason game, the one snap that he got.
Yeah, I mean, but you and I went to camp, and he'd be out there not getting targeted even on the day. And then he'd 1 day on, 3 days off. It was at no point really did it feel like there was any momentum this year, right?
No.
So,
now granted, they're releasing him from injury reserve, so he's not taking a roster spot. Right, he had been on injured reserve this year.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't ultimately what did it really cost him this year, but it's more just about being attached to a third round pick for this long with it never being close, unfortunately.
Yet they'd hold on to Josh Norman like he's the buried treasure.
Well, they knew maybe they'd have the Odell matchup this week.